So I'm guessing we're live now. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
We are live, John.
Well, we're here.
We're here. And as long as you're here, John, I'm here.
Thank you, Brendan.
Okay, right, well, I'll start with this one and we'll just go. So hello everyone, and thank you for watching us here via a Celtic State of Mind stream for what is Glasgow is Green, aka Gig Pod, episode 81. I'm Stevie, as you know, and I happen to be a supporting character of this show, and I'm happy to take the back seat here and let the true MVP of the podcast enjoy his moment in front of the camera. So yes, I'm delighted to say, everyone, I'm joined by Rizzo. Hello, John.
Hello. Hi, everybody. We done this last year as well, don't forget.
Yes, I was going to get into that, John. I just wanted to first say, where's the curtains? Because it doesn't look like you're in a brougham today.
No, I'm in a different room this time, and unfortunately, I've lost a lot more hair from this time last year. Fully the same could be said of you.
Anyway.
Oh, you in joke there? Right, there we go.
Yes, let's keep this professional as much as we can, John. Don't want any personal digs. So now this is our second year doing the Celtic State of Mind charity weekender. Last year was a good laugh and we raised money for those in need. So this year, John, tell the audience how it's going so far and how much has been raised and who we're raising money for.
Right, first of all, I'll just have a look at the Celtic State of Mind Twitter page, and so far, £19,223 has been raised, which is unbelievable. That is fantastic. Nearly £20,000. So well done, everybody. And right, so what we're raising money for are two church parishes which are close to the Carlton in Glasgow, where, of course, Celtic were founded in 1887 by Brother Walfrid. It's St Mary's and St Alphonsus. And we're going to raise money because they do a lot of work in their communities, and like this money will help them do a lot of work, especially like Christmas, which is when like people in need a lot of help. So if you want to donate, you go to gofundme.com and type in the ACSOM Charity Weekender. That's the ACSOM Charity Weekender. ACSOM, of course, is for a Celtic State of Mind. So if you go there, you can donate. And actually, on the GoFundMe now, it's at £9,173 raised of £10,000 goal, which is fantastic as well. So surely by the time we're all finished, they'll have raised over £20,000 at least. And well done, everybody, for doing that.
I don't know. Hopefully people don't tune out, John, because we're on. But yes, that is fantastic.
Of course not.
Indeed. So a wee shout out to one of our brothers in arms who's missing today. Everyone knows there's a third man in Gig Pod, but due to being rough and firewater last night, and because there's too many enemies among our fans, never mind every other team's supporters in Scotland, Spunkphone will be here in spirit, if not physically. So stay strong, Spunkphone. We are all with you. John, I know that you and Spunkphone are such a dynamic duo. Will you be able to recover and compose yourself to gear up for this one with me?
I'll try, although when we do podcasts, it's usually after traumatic Celtic defeats. Like that one against Hearts in the first game of the season, that was just awful. But no, good luck to him. And let's talk about Celtic's sensational performance today.
Indeed. So just to also say, for anyone who's unfamiliar with what we do, we generally chat about Celtic on the show for around half an hour. Now, this was initially meant to be 1 hour, but due to scheduling conflicts, we have managed to get it up until 7 or just after then. So it's quite good because we were going to actually probably spend the last half hour just talking about our personal lives or that film, The Football Factory, is filler. However, thank you everyone for still tuning in and everything. Can I also just say I'm wearing a body warmer indoors because the windows are open, and I happen to, unlike a lot of middle-aged men, enjoy getting fresh air as much as possible. I won't apologise for that, but John, I'm sure you do have solidarity with my clothing decision here.
Yes, it's actually one of your better Celtic garments. And hey, we're meant to keep the windows open, of course, to stop the COVID crisis, don't forget. So keep those windows open, folks.
Yes, thank you for that, sturgeon. Right, anyway, so the saying goes, John, they're the finest team in Scotland, reads on today. They well and truly backed her up. And yes, even if we are 4 points behind in the league, no one is capable of playing football like we do when all goes well, certainly in this country. A truly sublime performance from start to finish from Celtic, with the defence untroubled. The midfield were dominant, and up front, even though the front three never managed to get on the score sheet, Dundee United's defence were just unable to cope with them all afternoon. John will break down the game in stages, but briefly, what was your thoughts on the match this afternoon?
Oh, I thought it was Celtic's best performance of the season. Most complete performance. We dominated the first half, just strolled it. Second half, we took the foot off the pedal maybe for like 10, 15 minutes, has to be expected. But then, like, the last 20 minutes, we could have scored 2 or 3 goals easily. That's probably the only disappointing that we didn't score 5 or 6. That's no exaggeration when you look at the chances we missed. But no, I think it was a best performance under Ange, especially when you consider the important players that were missing, the pressure that we were under because of Rangers winning yesterday. And no, it's been a good start to December. And the way Celtic are playing now, there's no reason that can't continue.
Indeed, so we're talking about the stats here, John. Celtic, 71% possession to United's 29%. We had 26 shots and goal to their 6, 12 corners to their 1. And amazingly, John, they had more fouls, so we'll talk about this one later. But if we start with the defence, I felt Joe Hart could have joined Hamish Carton from 67 Hale and had another day off enjoying himself as he was that in trouble. I felt that was mainly down to our system. But if we chat about the back line, I felt JJ right back. I felt Taylor coming back in seamlessly, CCV returning, and Starfelt carried on his fine form after a brilliant display in midweek. I just genuinely felt today the defence had a natural balance there, and our centre halves, like, they weren't communicating constantly, but I think there's now a real understanding between them, and that's amazing considering, Starfelt had been injured, CCV was out of the team, so to throw them back into a tricky fixture like that was going to be a potential risk, and they cruised it. So I wanted to know what your feelings were, John, and how the defence have gradually improved to the point that away days are now less of a worry than, say, a few months ago.
Well, I thought they were all excellent, especially if you talk about Greg Taylor for a minute. I know he's nobody's favourite, but that was his first game for months, since October, I think, and you wouldn't have been able to tell that because him and Johnson, we'll talk about him in a wee bit later, but they were, I thought, played well together. They put wrong a lot of the doubters because I think people would have been a bit concerned about Taylor coming back into the team and Johnson starting. But no, I thought they all played well. And a couple of things. I mean, I know we all like Anthony Ralston, and he's been fantastic this season. But we are better when we've got like natural left and right backs in the team, rather than having Juranovic having to switch over at the left. I mean, I know that's a good thing to have in the locker, but it'll be good when Ralston's fit again. But so Ange's got the choices. But no, I mean, I thought they were well, and I thought Starfield was excellent, especially when you consider that he was booked after I think about 20 minutes. There must have been a bit of fear in case he got a set in jail thanks to our great officials. But no, he was excellent. He went in for all his challenges and won them all, and that's 2 brilliant performances in a row for him. And I know he had a shaky start to the season, but I can see now finally why we paid so much money for him, because it was like your hero, Mark Reaper. It was like that sort of display, just commanding, confident, and I mean it's another good problem to have whenever Julian comes back, and we don't know when that's going to be. I mean, Ange said the other day he's got no time frame in that. To have 3 centre backs that are in good, that are capable of playing for the team is a good problem to have. And I thought the defence was excellent. They didn't have a lot to work with, but when they were under pressure, they did well.
Yeah, they did. And now on to midfield, and I think this is where we excelled today, John. I thought Callum McGregor really was outstanding. A tremendous ball for Turnbull, and we'll chat about his finish later. But I thought his all-round game and his range of passing was just such a joy to watch. I felt, Turnbull took his goal well. And Tom Rogic, a man who was almost heading for the exit door and could never last 90 minutes, is now a transformed player under our wonderful manager, who we will not criticise. And today we've seen a more physical side to him as well. I mean, he bullied Fuchs at every turn. John, as we remember, Fuchs was the standout player at Celtic Park against us back in September in the 1-each draw, but today, he wasn't given a chance to impose himself and influence the game for Dundee United. And I felt that was down to the work off the ball by McGregor, but also Rogic as well.
No, McGregor, first of all, I thought he was excellent. By the way, I think Fuchs is a good player, and he's the sort of player that Celtic should be keeping an eye on. When they beat Rangers, I think he was brilliant, as far as I remember. So, no, I thought the midfield was excellent as well. McGregor, his performance has dipped a wee bit. The game in Germany against Leverkusen, it wasn't his best game, but he's bounced back well. I thought he was good the other night against Hearts, especially in the second half when we got control of the game again. I mean, everybody was going on about how Hearts had the chances in the second half. Well, the last 15-20 minutes, Celtic dominated again, and McGregor was a lot to do with that. And today, I thought he was brilliant. He was everywhere. He's what you want a captain to be. He does a lot of work that people don't notice. I know he's been involved in goals, and look at last week when he scored against Aberdeen and set up the first goal as well. But no, he does a lot of the things you don't see. and I think you can tell he really likes being captain. I think when we play Hibs in 2 weeks, he'll be just ridiculously up for it. But Tom Rogic, what a player! I mean, I've always liked him, as you know, the glory days, and that goal against Aberdeen, what a moment! And I was there with an employee in another Scottish football club I won't name. He knows who he is, but no, that was one of the greatest Celtic moments ever. That winner against Aberdeen in the cup final. But no, he's took it to a new level. I mean, the other night, as you said, him playing 90 minutes, that would never have happened in the past. And he was digging in and making sure, like, Celtic were fighting for every ball. And I think in the past, people thought it was like a luxury player. And in a way, he is when you see the goal he scored. But he's no anymore because he battles for every ball. He can play 90 minutes. And Ange has just transformed him. I mean, as you say, a couple of years ago, he could have left. I think it was Qatar he was moving to. And I think there was people were just shrugging their shoulders, really, being like, "Oh well, if he leaves, he leaves." But he's been massive for us. He's been absolutely brilliant, and he's going to be key for us in this run we've got in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I know we're not really going to talk about Thursday, but I wouldn't play him on Thursday. I'd save him for Motherwell, and then we've got Ross County, then the cup final, then St Mirren, Hibs, then Rangers, and if he's on song, he'll give Rangers a right hard time. He was just fantastic. And that goal was exceptional. It reminded me of that legendary Paddy McCourt goal against St Mirren 4 years ago. The one I think it was the old Love Street when he went on a mazy run. I think his goal was for
No. That was at St Mirren's New Park in like 09, a 2-0 win.
All right. That was it. I think it was voted one of Celtic's best ever goals. I don't know if this goal was like as good as that, but it really was a brilliant goal. And he's look at the heart. Everything that's good about Celtic. He's so strong on the ball now as well. He doesn't get brushed off the ball, and Ange has just transformed. I mean, we know Ange's done a good job already, like picking Celtic out for last season, but he's made Rogic like the linchpin of his side. He wasn't last year, and this year he is. And well done to Ange for doing that, because I'd give Tom Rogers getting a contract now.
Well, Ange actually said, before I move on to David Turnbull, Ange said, regarding Tom Rogic, I know him well, he's one of these special footballers that when the ball goes to him, everyone just stops and sees what he's going to do. You want to be paying attention. That's not the time to be looking down at your phone or taking a drink. You want to stop everything you're doing, and he's pleased that he got his goal today. That's probably an area where he's let himself down a little bit this year, and he's had some good opportunities, and Ange was said that he's pleased that he's got his reward. And I hope you get the impression as well, John, that that's not going to be a case of Rogic doing that and then it's a case of letting the next few games being anonymous. It seems like Rogic wants to be a real leader in this Celtic team as well, considering he's been here for some amount of time. He's looking as if today was taking a lot more responsibility, not just today but in previous games, and it looks as if he really wants to kick on and improve under Ange because he's put so much faith in him now.
Aye, as I said, he's one of the main men now, and he's not been one of the main men at Celtic for a long time. Even like when we were winning trebles, apart from that, like treble in 2017, he wouldn't say that he was one of the main man, like maybe Eddie was, or even Forrest was for a season or two, or Dembele or something like that. I mean, he was always a big player, but he was sort of on the periphery. Well, if you needed a goal or a goal in a big game, you'd look to him. But now he's the main man. He should be first name in the team sheet every week. He should. He's like in the strongest available team. Like he's like within the spine of the Celtic team. You wouldn't have expected that a couple of years ago. And no, well done to Ange. He's just made Rogic, who was always a good player that I liked, into an even better player.
Yeah, fully agree, John. Now, moving on to David Turnbull, I felt his goal was just really underrated. Everyone was talking about Rogic, and rightly so, but I think Turnbull's goal was amazing. Like, seeing it in real time, I was like, wow, how did that happen? I think it may be because it's down to the venue, the standard of the league, and the opposition involved. I don't know, but I thought the touch and the composure then to follow in was tremendous. Am I going overboard here, or did you think that was a brilliant goal too?
Well, did you hear what Andy Walker said about it?
That wonderful man? No, I did not. I was too busy going mental. What did he say?
He compared it to Paolo Di Canio's goal at Pittodrie in the Golden Boots all the years ago.
Yeah. I think Di Canio's probably due to the fact that it was 1-1 at the time, wasn't it? And it was
wearing golden boots.
And many boots. I think Di Canio probably the level of that is the stature of it. But no, I can see what he means. But it was still some goal, I thought.
It was a brilliant goal, and it was even better when you consider how he missed that sitter a few minutes earlier when I'm not really sure what he tried to do. I don't know if he tried to like chest it in.
He was very lazy with the effort.
It was. I think he tried to chest it, and I just couldn't understand why he didn't like take a touch and like hammer it into the net. But no, it was a brilliant goal, and I think he needs to score more goals. I think it might be on 9 for the season. I don't think he's in double figures yet, and that is quite good for a midfielder. But he can score more. Ange obviously likes him. He started every game for Celtic this season, which is good going when you consider that he wasn't a first team regular up until this time last year.
Yeah.
If you remember, was it against Lille? He made that breakthrough.
3-2 game, the breakthrough. He had a couple. Did he not have like a couple of sub appearances? But then he actually started.
Mm-hmm.
That was his first start. Thank you, Siamese boy. What a guy.
Yes, thanks, Lenny. But no, I thought that was an excellent goal. He took it well. I still think maybe his final ball can be better sometimes, but he's another mainstay. He's a guy you can't see getting dropped. He started every game for Ange. Ange obviously has got him as one of the main men, and I would just maybe like him to like. I know he's scored a lot of goals this season, but I would like him to maybe hit the back of the net more if possible. But no, I mean the way he took that goal, the pirouette that he done, it was really very, very good. And he's a good player. I mean, he was worth spending the money on when we did, because I think he's going to be at Celtic for years, and I think he can make that take the step up to the next level. He's good enough to do that. He showed the day that he can, and hopefully he can score more goals regularly.
And finally, John, regarding the midfielders, on Callum McGregor, Andrew's saying about the possibility of him being rested as well as the level he's performing at. He said ideally he would like to rotate them, that's all the midfield, particularly with the schedule we've got, but they're robust and they're pretty resilient guys. So he thinks it would be brave for him to be taking, any of them out, especially Callum, and he would probably get an earful. He said he's performing at such a high level all the time, and I agree with that. Do you think Callum McGregor now is playing his best football of his career at the moment, or do you think that was under a different managerial team, John?
But can I just say Turnbull scored 8 goals this season, so he's nearly on double figures, which isn't bad. I think McGregor, I don't know, I think he has played better in the past. I think maybe in Brendan's first few seasons, I thought he was excellent. I think this season he has obviously got more responsibility because he's a captain, but he is reveling in that when you see celebrations. I mean, I'll go back to that game against St Johnstone. He was celebrating, like pumping fists in the air, screaming and shouting at the fans. I hope he doesn't play on Thursday though. I know I heard Dan saying that if he doesn't pick him, he'd probably get an earful for him. But no, take him out of the team. I mean, it's a one-off game again on Thursday, and the bigger picture doesn't really matter. But no, McGregor has, in the last few weeks, after a sort of quiet spell, has got back to which is his best. I mean, this was a good performance. We didn't play that well the other night or against Aberdeen in spells, but when we're having the dodgy spells, he helped to pull us through. But he has played better in the past, especially when Rodgers was a manager. But he's got that extra responsibility now. That's made him change his game. He's sort of playing sometimes a sort of Scott Brown role where he does a lot of the quiet work. But no, he's doing well, and he's another guy that's a mainstay, a linchpin of the team. And the midfield is playing well now. McGregor, Rodgers, Turnbull, and I think that's the way to go for the foreseeable future.
I agree as well with you there. And moving on to the front three, particularly focusing on Michael Johnston. As you know, John, I've believed in him for months.
Yeah.
When many are viciously critical of him, but overall he played his part today. For me, I think his attitude in the next few weeks to himself and also us is crucial. I think he has to build on this, and I know it's maybe perhaps overly ambitious, but I think footballers have to be in their career. And he should be looking to say, well, he's got a chance to keep Jota out of the team in the same way like maybe Anthony Ralston's excellent performances kept an international fullback for Croatia at left back, you know what I mean? So how do you feel Johnston can actually fare with the hectic schedule ahead that we've got?
Well, I thought he was good today. He had his head up. I was a bit concerned before the game that if he had a bad game, people would get in his back, because I know he's not as good as Jota. I mean, let's face it. But he did well. He was involved in a lot. It was him that set up that chance for Kyogo, that header. in the first 10 minutes that Kyogo should have scored. It was, and
Yeah.
that shot he had just past the post was a good effort. As I said earlier, I thought him and Taylor worked well together, and I think he will be used a lot in this run we've got. I doubt that Kyogo will be. I doubt that Jota. I'll be involved on Thursday. I think Johnson actually will start on Thursday because he's needing starts to get his confidence up. And if he plays well against a team for La Liga, then that game a lot of confidence getting into the game next weekend. But no, it's a big spell for him, and I'd say it's maybe the biggest of his Celtic career because he knows that when Jota's fit, if he's not his best, then Jota, I'll get back in the team. But no, I know you're a big fan of his, and if MD was critical of him before, they can't be the day because he stood up and was counted, and he didn't let the side down the day, and that's more of what we need for Mikey Johnson. I mean, he's still relatively young. I think he's like 22, 23. He's still relatively young. He's had a lot of injury problems. But he's
it's crunch time for him, though, isn't it? It's sounding like a Sun reporter there.
As I said, I think it's maybe one of the biggest spells of his Celtic career. I mean, if he can hold down a place in the team for the next month, he'll be doing very well. I mean, imagine if he's playing well enough that when Jota's back, he doesn't get in the team. That just show how well Johnson's playing. And if it's up to him to show that he can do it, because on his day, he is good enough. I mean, always go back to that game against Rangers, 2019, when we
Cup final.
No, we beat them at Ibrox 2-0.
Oh,
it was him that set up Eddie for the first goal. Yep, and he the confidence that day, he was excellent that day. So he's showed that he's capable of doing it. But this is a really big month for him. I think this could be make or break, and hopefully he takes a lot of confidence for that in the weeks ahead.
And the emphatic win was rounded off by Liam Scales, and that was a good moment for him. I liked how composed he was. I think when other players might have just put the head down and cracked it full force, not going to talk about Ryan Christie, but you know what I mean. There's other players in the team who might have done it. And I thought he was very calm with how he dispatched that, and I think surely he gets a start against Betis on Thursday.
I would think so. I thought it was an excellent goal, and even better was that cross he put in a couple of minutes later, where it went across goal, and it was there for Kyogo to just tap in, and he missed it. But no, I thought Scales was very good. That's only his second appearance, his first game in the league. But you wouldn't tell that. I mean, okay, there's United won the great, but as you say, he took the goal well. He was in the right place at the right time. But that ball he put in that Kyogo missed, that was impressive. That was a really good cross in. So no, I would think he will start Thursday. I would doubt Taylor's going to start because he's just back, as you say. So no, that'll be a big test for Scales. And again, if he does well, that's a big boost for him.
Finally then, John, on to the manager, Big Ange. It got me thinking that I felt today was his biggest statement win so far. Like his ideas, his philosophies, his system. I think there was a purpose and an intensity about the team today for the entire 90 minutes. I personally didn't feel there was any drop-offs. I think that's a big thing when people pose the conundrum. Can these players deliver Ange ball for the entire game when it's such a high intensity thing? And I think today we saw that they can. But I wanted to know your thoughts on the manager's philosophy all coming together on days like today as well.
It was what people talked about before he got here. I mean, that attacking, pressing football. And I think even though we beat Dundee in St Mirren 6-0 at the start of the season, I think today was the best performance because we were on it for the very first minute. As you say, we didn't let up. Before the game, I think we were all quite worried because I know there's United playing well, but it's a hard place to go. We were playing just a couple of days ago. We've drew with them in the past this season. They've beat Rangers up there. But no, we were dominant and on the front foot constantly for the attack, for the start on the attack. And I think that's what Ange wants. And you can see why everybody is behind them because we play football the way Celtic should play football, which is attacking football. The only bad thing is that we don't score enough goals. We should have scored plenty more goals already this season with the chances we miss. But it's good, I suppose, that we're creating the chances. But no, Ange's doing very well. I mean, hopefully in the next few weeks he'll win his first trophy as manager and win his first derby as manager. And we're apparently buying a couple of players for Japan. So, I mean, the Celtic board seem to be buying into Ange's philosophy. And we will be bringing players in January, which is what we badly need. But Ange's doing very well. And the fans are behind him. I mean, I saw clips earlier, the celebrations at the end, and the fans were really praising Ange. And rightfully so. I mean, it's early days, and I'm sure if we drop points eventually, people will not be happy. But no, if Ange keeps playing that kind of football, then I think success will come on a sustained basis. It's just a pity. with how we sort of messed about, like looking for Eddie Howe, Ange didn't have like a real pre-season to get to grips with the team, and it took a while for everything to get going, and we dropped the points at the start of the season. Because if we'd got Ange in time, I think it would be clear at the top of the league, because we're definitely good enough to beat any team in Scotland. And no, Ange is doing very well, and it's good to see that he's so popular with the fans, and in the next few weeks, hopefully, he'll get even more popular.
Indeed. I know that due to the scheduling conflicts, we've actually not got the full hour, and I think we'll be finishing maybe round about 7. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, right, so I'll cut out like a lot of the things I was going to be talking about, but it was mostly just at the end, John, to see an update on how much has actually been raised for charity again.
Right. I'll just have a look. I'm not sure if we'll get the exact amount here. Oh, we're almost at £20,000. £707 short of hitting 20,000. So 19,693, I think that is. So that's all very good. Remember, GoFundMe.com and type in the ASCOM. Oops, I forgot it.
Classic Reedzo.
Hold on a sec. Give praise to the Celtic women's team, by the way. Give them a shout. Well, I'm getting
Francis Fran Alonso, one of the greats. They won today, and that was them. They won the League Cup, didn't they, John?
They did for the first time since 2010 that they've won the League Cup. They beat Glasgow City 1-0, and they dominated the game. And Fran Alonso's doing a great job, and hopefully they go on and the women's team go on and win the league. I think they could. There you go. Celtic men and women's team winning the league in the same season.
And
how good would that be?
Well, it would be amazing. And while you're looking for,
I've got it now, by the way.
Well, without trying to mug you off, I just had to say, if you look at the GigPod Twitter, which is at GigPod, I need to read out our sponsor, which is Football Prizes, who are supporting the show, and are giving away a signed Henrik Larsson framed Celtic shirt.
There you go.
If you look at, I know, how good would that be for Christmas, John? And would you part with a £5 for the chance to win this, like our listeners should?
Yes.
Actually, I don't believe that for a second. But if you look at
I can't win it though. I'm one of the GigPod co-hosts. Well, you're the host. You're the host. I'm just.
But yeah, so if you look at the pinned tweet at GigPod, that's for your chance to win the Henrik Larsson framed Celtic shirt via Football Prizes, who are doing some brilliant stuff. But yes, without wanting to be a wido here and just take up too much time in the Acsom sort of charity weekender, I know that the great guys at Pod Tims are on after us. I don't know how they're going to possibly, live up to us, John. It's going to be a hard one for them, I think.
I'm sure they'll do their best. They're more than capable. But here we go. GoFundMe.com, and if you type in the ACSOM Charity Weekender, that's the ACSOM for a Celtic State of Mind Charity Weekender, and you can donate there. And at the moment, it's at £9,278 raised of 10,000.
Superb.
I think there was about 10,000 raised yesterday. So that's almost £20,000, and it'll surely be over that by the time the event ends tonight. So keep donating, everybody.
And finally, last thing then, John, before we wrap up and let the guys at Pod Tims take over, for anybody that doesn't know about GigPod and where they can listen, come on, do your sign off. You've got it for episode 81 here.
Yes, if this will be listeners of GigPod, the episode that you'll get in your feed tonight or tomorrow. You can find us in all the usual podcast platforms. You get iTunes, etc., etc. You can leave us 5-star ratings, reviews, etc. You can follow us, not me, because I don't write the tweets, at GigPod.
Thank God for that.
I know, I'd just be writing about bands and stuff, and comics. Boring stuff like that.
Try and mug everybody off.
What comic book characters most like Angelus? But Batman, I don't know. No, you can you can follow us on Twitter at GigPod. All the usual podcast platforms. Thanks to all the listeners. I know we're doing well now. Thanks to all the listeners that also listen to us on Spotify and the Spotify Unwrapped sections that a lot of people have been posting that GigPod was our most listened to podcast of the year, which is just stunning.
What is up with people? I think there's some problems among the audience.
There must be if they want to listen to us more than any other podcast in the entire world this year. There's obviously got some issues. In fact, the Pod Tims were also on a lot of the. I think a lot of people listen to us and Pod Tims, so they really have got issues. A lot of people.
God help them. Right. Well, we are GigPod. We have been GigPod. I'm Stevie, John. is that other handsome guy there. And thanks a lot to everybody for tuning in. Thanks a lot to everybody for donating to the Acsom Charity Weekender as well. And please continue to do so. And we'll let Pod Tims take over now. I don't know how they're going to be able to cope with us and match us, but good luck to them.
Yep. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening. And we'll speak to you all soon. Hail, hail.